out of the African continent, primarily sub-Saharan West Africa, most of whom perished in what is known as the Middle Passage, which our late leader, the immortal Khalid Abdul Muhammad, taught us was our Nangalisu, our great devastation that was done to us by an enemy who was trying to change the world at the expense of our people, being used as cheap labor. To this day, over 500 years later, even with a so-called black man sitting in the White House, crime, colossal crime of the transatlantic slave trade, and all the residual crimes that came with that, putting our people on auction boxes, selling us off like we were puppies to a dog, or littered sheep to cows. It was horrible what was done to our ancestors. Destruction of our families, destruction of the African continent. We have yet to recover in any meaningful way from what has happened to our people. At the end of the so-called Civil War, there was supposed to be a history that was called Reconstruction. Great W.E.B. Du Bois, immortal ancestor and father of Pan-Africanism, has an enormous book that should be read by every black household, and that's called Black Reconstruction. Du Bois detailed how that period in history was the period in time in which our country was supposed to rectify and address the colossal crime of the transatlantic slave trade in the hands of the United States government, and the domestic wing of that is called the domestic slave trade that had us in slavery within the confines of the United States. And was set later in motion, of course, segregation and all the other kinds of violence that we have been facing ever since. Reconstruction was supposed to break up the plantation order of the South. Plantation order by which our ancestors built and developed the wealth of this land with their blood, sweat, and labor. That plantation system was supposed to be broken up, and that land was supposed to be redistributed to the former slaves themselves. But Reconstruction, if you trust the white man, and you know how our indigenous ancestors always taught us, has always spoken with a forked tongue. So by 1876, when it came time to put another white man in the White House, a deal was cut to take all the federal troops and protections away from our ancestors in the South and to walk away from the commitment to redistribute that land. And what came in its place is white terror. We're supposed to be in this so-called age of terrorism. They go all around the world killing Obama and all these other people, but the Ku Klux Klan is a legitimate organization that has the right to exist in these United States. Our troops in Trenton just 3 weeks ago had to stand down the neo-Nazis on the state capitol of New Jersey. And they didn't confront the neo-Nazis with dogs and machine guns and armored tanks and cars. They confronted the new Black Panther Party and the black community around that. But this is supposed to be the age of terrorism. If it's wrong to allow those kind of terrorists to exist over here, it should never have been allowed for racist terrorists to be allowed over here. And that's not even dealing with the whole violent scourge of police brutality, which is nothing more than state terrorism. State terrorism when we talk about police brutality. So we talk about reparations. Our late leader, the immortal Khalid Abdul Muhammad, says, and this is a difference, an important difference between our party and the new Black Panther Party and our elders and the original Black Panther Party. Our elders would say that there was a need for a plebiscite, for our people to come together and in a democratic fashion decide which way they want to go on the question. We don't have a problem with that, but we will say plainly that we want land. We want reparations with land. We don't want no $2 reparations.
Yes, sir.
That'll trick our people into thinking that the government is all good and then they turn around and give it right back to the white man and we're still in the same condition. We want land. We want minerally rich, fertile land in which we can grow our own crops and develop our own resources so we can ultimately truly do for ourselves as a nation. And we want the resources necessary to create the infrastructure to truly take care of ourselves. And if you look at reparations in the Pan-African way, we want reparations not just for our people here, we want reparations for the damage that was done to the African continent. People are still going into the African continent, raping it blind. Oil, cobalt, any uranium, any major resource, whether it's agricultural or mineral, is taken from the continent of Africa, and the rest of the white world stays rich and powerful, and our people are the poorest people on the earth. That's a crime. That's a residual crime. It's a consequence of the colossal crime against humanity that was the transatlantic slavery. So we say reparations of death, free all political prisoners. We want reparations with the freedom of our political prisoners, and we want reparations now. We will support anybody. We'll be working hard to build a united front around reparations to make it real and make it happen in our lifetime for these babies right here. Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
All power to the people!
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 Free the land!
Free the land!
Free the land!
Free the land!
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 It's the basis of
It's
all
the basis of all
independence. Land!
Land!
It's the basis of all independence.
It's the basis of all independence.
Land!
Land!
It's the basis of all independence.
It's the basis of all independence.
Reparations!
Reparations.
Or death!
Or death.
Reparations!
Reparations.
Or death!
Or death.
Reparations!
Reparations.
Or death!
Or death.
Black power!
Black power!